The biggest, most important news is that MKDev team is going to be on 3 different events in the first 2 weeks of June. We are going to be on AWS Summit in Madrid, we are going to be on the South Summit, as well as the CTO Summit. So please, if you happen to be in Spain or in Madrid and you are participating in these events, find us there and say hi, and let's talk if we can help you with different challenges in cloud AI and DevOps space. And to know how exactly to find us, please check a link in the video description below. There will be more information about where we'll be and how it will look like and who in particular from the team will participate. PostgreSQL 17 Beta 1 is now available in Amazon RDS database preview environment. Actually, it's embarrassing, but that was the first time I learned there is actually something called Amazon RDS database preview environment, and it's basically a separate RDS environment where you can test different edge and not yet released versions of databases. So for example, you can verify if your application is working with PostgreSQL 17, because now it's available in beta 1 in this environment. And what's interesting about Postgres 17, of course, there are many new features, and there's like improvements in performance and etc. Like all the regular stuff. What I found really cool is there is now support for JSON table, which allows you to fetch your JSON data stored inside your JSON or JSONB columns, and kind of with the one SQL statement convert it to something looking like a regular table. So then you can use all the regular SQL statements and queries to search in this data generated from the JSON. And that should simplify some of the use cases if you stick to relational database, but you still want to store some unstructured data in your JSONB fields and columns. Amazon Bedrock announces new Converse API. There is a new capability in Amazon Bedrock, because there is new capability in Amazon Bedrock basically every second day. And now they support a new API which is more tailored to conversation-based API calls. It's very similar to what you have in OpenAI when you call GPT models, for example. But now it's supported on Bedrock as well, and the difference is that with Bedrock you can use this conversational API to trigger many different models. So you can use Anthropic models, Meta models, and also Amazon's Titan models, as well as some other open source ones. AI legal research products hallucinate 17 to 33% of the time. There is a new research basically comparing how much different LLMs hallucinate on legal use cases. The problem with GPT-4 is that it hallucinates in more than 50% cases for this kind of law and legal stuff. And by hallucination, what people conducting this research understand is either giving completely false information or giving the right information but providing the wrong references. And the second way of hallucinations is probably even worse, because you cannot really use this in the court case, and there were already cases where some lawyer, I think in New York, he used the data from the answer from GPT, which was correct, but it was given kind of as an example cases that never existed. So then you cannot really use this in the court. There are a couple of models and services that offer a bit like legal focused LLMs and AIs. And basically all of them work by having a RAG, so they have already kind of the better data set, and while performing generation of the answers, they also use some kind of a database with already uploaded good legal related data. And usually this kind of approach gives you less hallucinations and more accurate data, and that's how, for example, you can train your internal model or existing model to fine-tune it with your internal organizational data. So there are companies who do something similar with the legal data, and they hallucinate less, but still the best of them, Lexis, it still hallucinates in 17% of cases, and another one, Westlaw, it hallucinates in 33% of cases. So you have to imagine it's roughly every fifth answer that these models give you at best is wrong. So if you are using GPT, especially because it's especially bad in this kind of stuff, or even one of these more specialized services and AIs, you should keep in mind that you can't really trust this data, and you should not go for legal advice to LLMs just yet, even though actually it would be great to save on all the lawyer fees and just go to GPT and ask for the legal advice. But unfortunately today you cannot do this, because the answer you will get has a high probability of just being wrong. All of Microsoft's MacBook Air beating benchmarks. Microsoft announced new Surface laptops, they're ARM based, they use Snapdragon X Elite chip, and they're claiming that it beats MacBook Air M3 in every single metric, so it's faster, it has a longer battery life, it works better with AI. More or less it's true, so the Surface laptops do beat, this new Surface laptops, they do beat M3 Air MacBook. Comparison is probably a bit unfair because Air MacBook doesn't have any fans, and Surface laptops, they do have fans, so they kind of can push the chip a bit further just because you can cool it a bit better. But in any case, it's a fantastic job from Microsoft. It's great that we are finally seeing more competition for Apple Silicon, because if you remember, like 2 years ago, it was just incredible. Like when the first M1 chip appeared, it was insane battery life, but also way better performance. And no one had it at this time, but now we get more and more laptops that actually have different chips with the similar capabilities, but different operating systems and different hardware. The only thing is that Apple just announced a new M4 chip, which I'm holding here, which is even better than M3. So of course there are no laptops yet with M4, but they will appear later this year. And then we're gonna see if kind of Apple already caught up with Microsoft, or it's Microsoft who will need to caught up again with the new M4 generation of chips. Easily stream data from AWS Kinesis to Google Cloud with pubsub import topics. There's a new capability for Google Cloud pubsub. As a reminder, that's the service that basically allows you to get data and distribute data in event-driven use cases or data analytics use cases. And now they have a new feature called import topics that supports only single source AWS Kinesis data streams. So you can say that this pubsub topic gets data from Kinesis data stream, and then in a very secure fashion, because you use IAM roles and whatnot, you can stream your data from Amazon Cloud to Google Cloud, and then distribute it from this pubsub topic to BigQuery or to your Cloud Run applications or to other workloads you have on the Google Cloud. I think it's a great move from Google Cloud to make better integrations with other cloud providers, especially with the leading one, AWS, because first of all, it kind of thinks about different use cases modern enterprises have with the multi-cloud architectures. And Google historically doesn't really think well about real use cases of big enterprises because they try to build more fancy things. But here it's actually not a fancy thing, it's a really good way to integrate with another cloud provider. And the second point here is the reason, or one of the probably most important reasons they do it, and they also stated in the release notes, is that once you connect your Amazon Kinesis data stream to Google pubsub topic, it's really easy for you to then convert your Kinesis producers to push data directly to pubsub instead of Kinesis, and to slowly migrate towards Google Cloud from AWS. So there is a simpler migration path in case you are looking into migrating from AWS to Google Cloud for this particular Kinesis-based event-driven applications. Azure Maps, reimagining location services with cloud and AI innovation. There was a service called Bing Enterprise Maps. It's basically a way for you to use Bing Maps inside your own applications and pay for the API and SDKs, for example, to build a mobile app with some, I don't know, cycling routes, similar to Google Maps API and Mapbox, for example. And now Azure or Microsoft, they consolidate all the location and map service into a new service called Azure Maps. So Bing Enterprise API will be shut down eventually. The customers have actually time till 2028 to migrate, and the new offering will be within Azure, so it will be a new Azure service. And the funny thing here is, of course, because everything has to be with AI, even this kind of location service. So Microsoft, in the announcement, they also posted like, hey, we have this new NVIDIA chips, a new NVIDIA capability that is tailored towards location, so you can now use AI for your Azure Maps in the future. They don't give any particular good examples how exactly you're going to use AI with Azure Maps, but they have to mention it because everything has to be with AI in 2024. What's new for the Google Cloud Global Frontend for web delivery and protection? On Cloud Next 24, Google announced lots of new changes to their load balancing and the frontend or edge network. They were kind of shadowed by all the AI announcements, but now that 1 month later, we can actually dive deeper into non-AI features that they announced. One of the cool new things that they have is something called App Connector. It basically allows you to route traffic from your Google load balancers to your workloads in other data centers or in other clouds without exposing these other applications to the internet. The way it works is you install an App Connector agent on, for example, on an EC2 instance, and then it connects to an App Connector inside Google Cloud by creating a secure tunnel. So the traffic goes from your application to App Connector over the tunnel to the Google Cloud. And thus you never need to expose your private applications to the internet while still allowing Google Load Balancer to route through all this App Connector stuff to your applications in Amazon or on-premise. Another interesting thing is they release something called service extensions. So that's a way to run small software during the processing of requests inside the load balancer. So when the traffic arrives, you can execute a small application to, for example, do some more custom routing, which is really cool because it adds this new layer of flexibility of how you can process the traffic without kind of bloating load balancer on Google site itself. You just can extend it as much as you want with your own service extensions. And third thing, because still everything has to be with AI, they also announced the new AI capabilities for load balancer. And this capability is actually pretty cool because they think about production use cases with AI. They can now balance traffic based on LLM queue or on a couple of other different LLM related metrics instead of basing the load on just the HTTP traffic or the amount of requests. AWS leads UK cloud market while Microsoft dominates growth and new customers. There are new numbers for UK cloud market, and the numbers basically means that 80 to 90% of the whole platform as a service and infrastructure as a service market in United Kingdom is dominated by either AWS or Azure. AWS is still number one, having between 40 to 50% of the market share, and Azure has Microsoft has between 30 and 40%. And Microsoft is the fastest growing one, so it grows faster than AWS, and they also surprisingly have bigger margins. Margin of Microsoft per this article is 33%, and Amazon is between 25 and 30%. And all the other cloud providers, including Google Cloud, they are at loss because they don't grow as much. They lose market share because companies tend to go to these two biggest ones. And that's basically just the way it is. AWS and Azure, they dominate the cloud market, and everyone else, including Google Cloud, unfortunately, are kind of in a losing position. And most new companies, especially bigger enterprises, will most likely go to either Azure or AWS. And example of United Kingdom shows it because 80 to 90% of the whole market is just insanely high. That's it for this video. Don't forget to share this video with your colleagues so that they also stay up to date with the latest cloud DevOps and AI news. Don't forget to meet with us in person in Madrid. As a reminder, there will be a link in the description describing how to find us on which particular events at which dates. And please like this video, share in your social media, and provide us feedback which news we missed or which news you found most interesting. And thanks for watching.
There are no challenges that we couldn't overcome. Whether it is immediate infrastructure problems or planning a future project, we won't simply answer your questions. We become a part of your team to help you complete the mission. Our solutions consider the interests of your business and the combined expertise of the industry, as our staff is made up of more than a dozen experts in different areas who share decades of field-tested experience and knowledge with you.